Welcome to our podcast. We have me, Destiny, and my partner Aaron. In this episode, we will be discussing about the Spanish Civil War.
Hello, this is Aaron, and I will be starting off this podcast. On May 17th, 1902, 16-year-old Alfonso XIII is crowned King of Spain. The young king relishes his power and routinely intervenes in parliamentary affairs. The result is extreme political instability, and 33 governments are formed in Spain between 1902 and 1923.
In July 22nd, 1921, Berber armors led by Ed Emcan forced the Spanish garrison at Ano Marco to retreat this area, marking the start of a military campaign that would come to known as the Reform. The rout marks the greatest defeat of the European common power by indigenous forces since the Battle of Edwa. Primo de Rivera was a prime minister of Spain. He was born in January 8th, 1870, and he dies March 16, 1930. That was when the Spanish War was coming to an end, and he died in Paris, France. His political party was the Patriotic Union. He had 6 kids. He went to the military for some times. He went to the military in 1884 through 1923. He was in the Spanish Army. His rank was the lieutenant general. He went through 2 battles. He went to the Melanin War and the Court campaign. The rewards he got was the Carrots Cross of Saint Ferdinand. And he just moved up and up in the military ladder. That's what got him into politics and made him to the general.
January 28, 1930. The Spanish economy is reeling as a result of the global depression, and Alfonso forces Primo de Rivera's resignation. The physical broken dictator died less than 2 months later. The monarchy has become too closely associated with the excesses of the dictatorship, and Republican sentiment has grown too strong to tolerate Alfonso's continued meddling in Spanish politics. An alliance of former liberal monarchists, Catalan politicians, and Republicans meet at San Sebastian on August 17, 1930, and agrees to overthrow the king.
In April 12, 1931, the Republican and social candidates Trump overwhelming the multiple elections. They demand Alfonso's abdication and the military withdraws its support from the embattled king. 2 days later, facing the prospect of violent insurrection, Alfonso flees the country. I think he was just scared of ruling it. Like, he just wasn't a good person, and he doesn't even want to do anything with his country or to even care about it. What do you say about that, Aaron?
Fool, why are you doing that?
How do you feel about Alfonso? How do you feel about Alfonso?
He's a bad guy.
I don't think he was a bad guy, but he wasn't able to speak. How do you feel about a person who can't speak for his country or speak for himself? How do you feel?
October 29th, 1933. Jose Antonio Primo de Rivera, the eldest son of the late dictator, establishes the Falange Española, a far-right nationalist political group committed to overthrowing the Republican government. The movement draws heavily on Italian fascism, and initially it draws little public support. In its early years, it is largely dependent on financial assistance from Benito Mussolini for its survival.
And then in February 16, 1936, the Popular Front, a boarding left-wing coalition headed by Manuel Azaña, wins the majority of seats in the Spanish courts. During the first 4 months of the popular rule, 113 general and more than 2,000 partial strikes take place on the 170 churches, 69 clubs, and the officers of 10 newspapers are set afire by extremists. Right-seized military leaders began plotting the overthrow of the government.
October 14th, 1936. The 1st International Brigade's trainees arrive in Albacete, Spain. For the next 2 years, some 60,000 of the foreign volunteers were recruited, organized, and directed by Comintern Communists International, would fight on the Republican side. Franco's nationalists would draw support from the government in Italy and Nazi Germany. Despite both of the countries having signed a non-intervention pledge, the contest ultimately becomes a proxy war between Europeans, fascist, and Bolshevik powers.
And then November 6, 1936, the nationalist forces arrive in Madrid expecting to carry out trumpet entry. Instead, they are checked by a strong international British force, and a 28-month surge of the city begins. And then in November 20th, 1936, Primo de Rivera, who has been in police custody since July and executed by firing squad, he becomes a martyr for the nationalist cause.
April 26, 1937, the Republican-held city of Guernica is bombed by planes of the Luftwaffe's Condor Legion. Hundreds of civilians are killed in an attack that would demonstrate the effectiveness of terror bombing to Hermann Göring and other Nazi commanders. The almost complete destruction of the Basque city inspires Pablo Picasso's painting Guernica, 1937.
And then in June 1937, Bimbo falls to the nationalists after 2 months surge, although nationalists complete the conquest of the Basque country in October. The majority population centers of the Barcelona and Madrid remain outside of their control. And then
November 18th, 1938, the war has been characterized by long periods of bloody stalemate, punctuated by rapid breakthroughs by the nationalists. An exhausted Republican army saddled with the weight of some 3 million refugees sees its last hope of victory on the battlefield. Extinguished at the Battle of Ebro by February 1939, Barcelona has fallen and a tide of refugees pours into France. March 28, 1938, some of 200,000 nationalist troops enter Madrid unopposed. The Republican government fled to exile in France weeks earlier, and the city is in no condition to resist and endure a winter without heat, and starvation has claimed the lives of countless residents. By the following day, what remains of Republican Spain has surrendered. The war has lasted 2 years and 254 days. As many as 1 million lives have been lost, either directly through combat or as a result of privation. Franco establishes a dictatorship that would endure until his death on November 20th in 1975. That's it.
how did you feel about the Spanish? How did you feel about this podcast episode?
It was a sad war, and a lot of people died.
All right. Thank you for listening. We'll see you on the flip side.